Welcome to the Seriously Social Podcast with your host, Simone Douglas. Today's guest is Steve Walker from Kookaburra Homes. He chats with Simone about mentors, relationship building, and his new podcast.
So welcome to this week's episode. You're like, no.
I'll start.
Yeah. So welcome to this week's episode of Seriously Social, the podcast. Today I am joined by Steve Walker from Kookaburra Homes. Steve, thanks for coming in.
G'day, how are you?
I'm good. Can you just, I guess, to kick us off, give us the Cliff Notes version about how you find yourself here today?
Yeah, I guess, so I'm the co-owner of a residential building company called Kookaburra Homes. We first met 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yourself and Tamara. So we've known each other for some time. We haven't really been in regular contact over the last 6 years. You've been busy doing your thing and I've been busy doing my thing. And then we sort of touched base, I guess, on LinkedIn, and there's an opportunity to come in here and have a chat to you, which I really wanted to do because I publicly wanted to say a big thanks to yourself and to Tamara, because there was a couple of little things that you did 6 years ago that changed my business entirely.
Oh, wow.
So your business, yourself, and in particular Tamara, what you did for me at the time when I was learning, I'm forever grateful of, and I replay that story over and over again still to this day. So I wanted to come here and say thank you to you.
You're
and
welcome.
A big thank you to Tamara because we needed help and you helped me. So thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
You're most welcome. I like to help. It's my favourite thing.
Yep, absolutely.
When you say home builder, Kookaburra is a fairly well-known brand in the marketplace these days.
Now,
So, Yeah. So, but you have 4 businesses. I'm sad to say Steve beats me. He has one more business than me. I feel like I need to catch up now.
Yeah, we were talking about though whether they're profitable or not. So you might be beating me there. So, so we do a number of different things. We manufacture all our own joinery, kitchens and bathrooms and things like that. I do a lot of work with kids and youth. Just about to launch my own podcast, which is the Kidpreneur Podcast, which is basically finding amazing teenagers out there that are doing incredible things, especially around the area of business, and then having conversations with them, shining a light on them that will hopefully then allow other kids to do the same and be influenced by those kids. So that's a business I'm really focusing on at the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you find it, because I have a 13-and-a-half-year-old and an 11-year-old, so they're right bang smack in that age. The 13-and-a-half-year-old wants to be a famous YouTuber and live stream and do all the things, which is fine. But the 11-and-a-half-year-old goes, Mum, I want to start my own dog walking business and I want to do this, this and this. And I said to him the other day, I was like, oh, okay, so you need to, get some flyers and we can do your one-page website and this, that, the other. And he goes, no, I need employees first. I don't want to do any of the work. And I was like, oh, honey. Yeah.
They just see the end product.
I was like, you're going to have to do all of the work yourself to start off with.
Yeah.
Or find a profit sharing arrangement.
100%. I think so many kids see that final product and they're so focused on the monetary component of it without understanding that you need to do the work. So I'm really trying to highlight kids and teenagers that are doing the work to then influence these other kids, to get it. And I'm meeting some amazing kids. I interviewed someone the other day, 16-year-old girl, where she raised $2,000, bought a sewing machine, sent it to Kenya. She employs a person who has made over 500 sanitary pads for young girls over there, allowing them to go to school so they don't miss out on education. So that's as amazing. One example. So that inspires me, not just other kids. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I think it leads really nicely into a bit of a conversation we're having in the preamble about, relationships in business being what's important and community being what's important. If you were to talk to someone, that's probably reached a similar stage to us, so maybe they've got a couple of businesses, they're probably a little bit time poor, maybe balance is tricky, and maybe they've been neglecting the relationships that got them where they got to in the first place. What kind of advice would you give to those people?
One, Adelaide's a small place. Australia is actually a small place. I'm trying not to be a hypocrite because when I was younger, I didn't really understand this. I didn't really value relationships that much. I was very quickly cut them off, especially if they weren't adding value to me. But then you grow up and you realise that, you actually bump into these people again, so it pays to be nice. that saying of being, be nice on the way up, because on the way down you need those people. And I really think that good things don't last forever, and at some point you're going to need them. So I see what you do online and I'm inspired by it, and I try and do the same, where I'm trying to build a community and network of people around me that I can help, but I also believe can also help me as well. It's interesting at the moment. I think a lot of my competitors, especially in the building industry, would be seeing the content that I'm putting out online and think I'm very confused or distracted with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because they are very much product price. But they don't understand that as nice as all that stuff is that I'm doing, I'm trying to build homes. Yeah. I'm trying to sell homes. And I think there's a shift around, you don't need to go to a half-page ad in the Sunday Mail and spend 15 grand. You're better off going into your network and saying, hey, how can I help you, and add value, whether that's monetary or whether it's time, whatever it may be. I think it's changing, and the return on investment is greater than the old days where you just go and chuck money at, the side of a bus. Or does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does, because I think often, people will say to me, and in fact I had the local newspaper ring me wanting to have, we took out an award, the AHA award for Best Community Support and Service for the pub this year. Yes.
Yeah, I saw that.
And awesome. But so they're trying to sell me advertising. So they rang me. He's like, oh, congratulations on the award, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, thanks. And I thought I talk to journalists all the time. So I was like, oh, this is great. It's a journalist. And then, he goes, oh, so we've got this special offer, and it's banner advertising and this and that. I said, Did you look at, did you Google me before you called me?
Do you know what I do?
Yeah. I'm like, so I own a digital marketing agency. I'm like, is this free advertising? Because I'm always up for free stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, oh, no, it's a special, so that you can reach our readers. I'm like, yeah, so I'm going to have to respectfully decline and not waste any more of your time.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the fact that you're working through a list and you've got a job to do. That's fine. But, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of, like you said, go and make friends. So I have this whole philosophy that is, in business, you start off by making friends and then they turn into business family. Now, business family might not be, your blood family or your friends outside of work, but they are as important. And if you can just remember that they matter in and of themselves.
100%.
Yeah.
I love your saying, it all just starts with a coffee.
Yeah.
Let's just start with coffee. And it's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
Just reaching out and saying, hey, let's have a coffee. Can I add value to you? And you may even be a competitor.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to change the mindset in South Australia, where it's very old school. It's very, if you're my competitor, I can't talk to you.
Yeah.
Where there's a new group of young owners of building companies coming up now, where we're trying to collectively work together and understand that the pie is big enough for everyone. Yeah. Let's just help each other. Yeah. And let's not be driven by greed. Let's be driven by sustainability and creating a life for us and our family that is sustainable and one where we can help each other.
Well, and I think that's one where, like you said, sustainable, that's where building companies are successful, as opposed to the, margin price, and things falling over, which you see a lot in construction, or have done, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
So, I'm a big fan of that. And some of my best referrals have come from my competitors or people who I should be competing with. And my favourite referrals, so I got given a disaster recovery client, which is, there's not a lot of people out there that do that. So it was a very, nightclub was all over the papers, the police were involved, social media was blowing up all over the place, and I got this phone call, and Matt from Digital Marketing Adelaide just goes, oh, this isn't my bag. Will you talk to my clients? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. And had a chat. And, we managed to put out the fire in 36 hours. It was great.
Yeah.
But for that 36 hours, 36 hours I didn't sleep.
Yeah.
Because I was answering all the comments. But that's why it's a particular skill set when it gets to that point, because you have to be the right amount of humour and seriousness to 100%. Unpack it all. But it was heaps of fun. Yeah. So there are always times, when you can't do the work. So either you're too busy, or you're in the middle of onboarding a bunch of clients, or someone's going on holidays. You need, rather than saying no, it's always better to go, I can't help you right now, but here is someone that I trust that can help you.
100%. So, 100%. Yeah, it's interesting you talk about networks and community. We've tried to do that with our customer base. I think just in any transactional environment, as soon as the transaction's done, we just sort of say goodbye to that customer, and then we're quick to go spend $1 in marketing to the C and D leads, where we try to switch our marketing spend and just double down on the people that have already purchased from us. And most of them aren't going to buy a second or third home, but we want to continue to touch them and show them that we appreciated them, and we get, a majority of our growth is coming from referrals. As you know, people buy because of trust. If you can't add trust, then they want you to discount to add value. So people that are getting referred to us already have that trust element. So
and it's much easier transaction.
100%. So you hold your margin, and it's win-win.
So I think if we could give new people starting out in business, the best piece of advice is if you can get into a place where you're not competing on price. That's where you want to be.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So would you say that you, because I have this philosophy that I don't actually have any competitors because I run my own race. In what's traditionally a very competitive industry, would you say you've differentiated yourself in ways that no one else is going to follow you there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I have a huge advantage. As our business has grown, I've employed people to work alongside me. I have a PA now. I've got a full marketing department compared to when you first came. I think there's myself and there was a young girl called Yana. I've been able to bring people into the business, not so I can step away from the customer, but allowing me to step closer to the customer, where I know my competitors do the opposite. As they grow, they put people in the business to remove themselves from the customer. So I think my biggest point of difference is that I'm a retailer at heart, like you with the pub. I'm at the bar listening and watching what people are saying, and I think I do that better than most. So when you talk about competitors, I think they're too worried about what everyone else is doing, where I'm just worried where the customers, talk about Gary Vee, we were talking about the book earlier. I learnt a long time ago from him that just watch where the customer's attention is. So I do that very closely. So I think, I don't focus on my competitors too much because they're too busy focusing on each other and not listening to the consumer. So we've been very successful through social media because we may not have the biggest following, but the content we put out there, our engagement is higher because I'm talking directly to the customers' issues or challenges and addressing them.
That makes sense. You get. But I think it's one of those things that I loved about when I got the pub 3 years ago. Because I could break all of the rules. So everything that I tried to tell clients to do that they maybe chose not to, because sometimes you offer advice and fair enough, at the end of the day, the client gets to say yes or no. But all the things that they'd be like, oh no, I'm not quite comfortable with that. No, I need like professional photos, or I need this, or I need this. So I broke all the rules with the pub, and our engagement went through the roof. We had viral posts happening.
Had you owned a pub before?
Yeah, so in my 20s, I used to fix broken pubs for a living.
That was, so
we found this one by accident when we were looking for an office. Yeah,
that's cool.
So I got a pub instead.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Means the good days and the bad days are both okay. Because there's whiskey downstairs.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's, I was really... struck's the wrong word, but it really validated my thinking around marketing, because I would put all of this humanist narrative in place and made the people the most important thing in the socials and in the business, and made sure that there was this really clear 6-word story for the business, which is that the outside world doesn't matter here. So if you walk through that door, you should feel like everything else just falls away. So that translates into the marketing, but it's the ethos of who you are. And I think in business, you guys you're really clear on who you are, who the business is, and what it is that you bring to the table. And I think when you've got that clarity at the top and you can communicate that with everybody else, that's when magic happens.
100%. Yeah, I think there's external marketing, but first you've got to market internally constantly, every day to your staff, and be doing what you're saying, which is, creating the ethos and explaining to them what you're about, what you want to do. Not just, go out there and tell the market you this, but internally everyone knows that that's just rubbish. First, you have to convince the people that work for you. And then go tell the market. So everyone's on the same page.
No, that absolutely makes sense. I think it's challenging sometimes though when we have those resource pressures. So one of the things that I guess we saw through COVID Perhaps not in the construction industry. You guys had a tiny dip and then boom.
Yeah,
but
all that money.
Yeah, there's a lot of
too much money
thrown around.
Too much money. I thought of you when because they gave us 25 grand. They gave the customer 25 grand.
Yeah.
Then we went boom. Then they gave us another 15 grand.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of you. That was at the time that you were really trying to put a lot of pressure on the sticking up for pubs in South Australia.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, we don't need any more money.
Yeah.
Like, give Simone some money. We don't need money. You were asking for money and to be open more. I'm thinking, we don't need more.
Yeah, no,
it's crazy.
Flat strap.
Yeah. It's
but
a bit silly.
It's with those other businesses, I think what it highlighted for me, and with BNI, I've got 165 business owners that are members in my region.
Yes.
So I was very close to that across all the sectors. But the people that were successful were the ones that had been working within their networks and looking after their networks for a very long time, as opposed to the ones that had a book full of contacts and then started spamming them.
100%.
Yeah. So what would you say as we wrap up? Because I'm conscious that we must be getting close to time. I like talking to interesting people. But, what would you say, outside of all of the obvious stuff, is your secret to success when it comes to having so many different aspects of what you do?
Yeah, I think it comes back to the network. I've learnt from a very young age, I've relied on mentors my entire life, and there's been a number of them at different aspects of my life as I've grown up. But over the last 4 or 5 years, where business has been really scary, when we first met, we weren't in a great way, and I really relied on my network, who then a number of those turned into mentors. Yeah. So my advice to everyone, just life in general, is find a mentor, someone that you trust, that you can talk to, because that's been our saving grace. So look within your network, and if you don't have a network, start communicating and creating one, and look for those people that you can talk to when things get really, really hard. Really hard.
Because it'll come.
It's coming. Yeah.
Every business goes through it multiple times.
Yeah.
So,
It's funny, I spoke to my mentor a couple of weeks ago, and I said, mate, I don't know what's wrong. I think I'm finally happy. And he said, isn't it funny, the only thing standing between you and happiness is your own happiness. He said, just enjoy it now, because life will come smack you real soon. Yeah. And it does, and you need those people there next to you. So my advice is find a mentor and lean on them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Seriously Social. Check our website for the latest news, show notes, and for details about Simone's latest book, Confident Networker.